Welcome everyone to this August 17th edition of What's Happening in Crypto with the Crypto Lark, broadcasting to you from New Zealand and bringing you all of the latest from the crypto world and beyond. Today's top stories: hacked investor suing AT&T, the BTC ETF ETN SEC WTF drama continues, and the latest on Bitcoin mining updates. On to our first big story of the day. Cryptocurrency investor robbed via his cell phone account sues AT&T for $224 million over his loss. Now, this crypto jacking via hijacking people's SIM cards has been going on for quite a while, particularly in the USA. Now, he actually lost $24 million worth of cryptocurrency. Apparently, it happened to him 2 times in 7 months. You'd really think after the first time you'd learn a pretty hard lesson. But nevertheless, he was hacked. And I do feel like at some point, the mobile providers in the USA do need to step their game up and actually take some responsibility for what has been happening, because this has happened to a lot of people and they're just kind of letting it happen. So that's really, really negative for the mobile carriers and obviously for anyone who has to trust their mobile device for their security, their 2-factor authentications, for example. On the flip side, though, personal responsibility is a real thing. Hardware wallets are a real thing and definitely would have helped this guy in this situation. Now, look, I don't know how much he was trading. Maybe he had $24 million sitting on his Coinbase account and he was playing the markets and all that stuff. Everybody has different numbers when it comes down to it, but nevertheless, a simple ledger or a Trezor really could have helped this guy out quite a bit. Ethereum co-founder Joseph Lubin says that Bitcoin bubbles are good for business. We've seen this happen a lot with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency overall, where we see big run-ups, big drop-offs, big run-ups, big drop-offs. The run-ups are getting bigger, the drop-offs are staying equally painful, I suppose. But in amongst all of that volatility is such an amazing opportunity for making awesome profits. If you are taking these lows on the chin and looking at this as a great opportunity to get ready for the next runs, well, then you have a good mentality as an investor and as someone who can play the game. But if you're buying the top and selling the bottom, that is very treacherous indeed. But that, I think, is really interesting advice from someone who's been in it for quite a while and has seen it happen many, many times. So for someone like Joe Lubin to come out and say, actually, all of this volatility is actually good for business, is a positive thing. U.S. investors can now invest in a fully regulated Bitcoin ETN. This is an exchange-traded note, not an exchange-traded fund. Slightly different. This is really a debt instrument, but nevertheless, it is a digitally traded asset that can go on major exchanges. Now, this has actually been around for quite a while. This particular ETN has been available in the euro and in the Swedish krona, but is now being offered in US dollars, and American-based traders can now actually be trading this back and forth. So this isn't exactly the ETF, it is slightly different, but nevertheless, it is a positive development for those who do want to see these kind of exchange-based products coming to the market. Andreas Antonopoulos weighing in on the Bitcoin ETF, criticizing it, basically saying if it's not your private key, it is not your Bitcoin, but it's going to happen regardless of how he feels about it or how any of us feel about it. The Bitcoin ETF is coming, and I know, again, as mentioned a few times before, a lot of hopes are pinned on that, but Bitcoin is Bitcoin without the ETF, and it happening It's just a thing, and it's going to happen at some point. It's only a question of when that's going to happen. Vitalik Buterin comes out with a new consensus algorithm to make the 51% attack obsolete, requiring 99% of nodes in order to make an attack. This is a paper that he has just released recently. This is very, very interesting. And if we can see something like this actually being implemented on Ethereum, that's massive. And that can make, obviously, Ethereum so robust, so powerful. And this is the thing that I always come back to with Ethereum. Everyone says, yeah, but it's only doing 15 transactions per second, and it's too slow, and it's never going to blah, 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 blah. Look at all of the work that's being done to upgrade Ethereum, to make Ethereum scale, to make Ethereum into something better than it already is. They're working on it. It's only a question of when that's going to happen. On to Bitcoin mining. Genesis mining to end unprofitable crypto contracts as the crypto winter continues in terms of low price action. We are seeing a shakeout happening. Hashflare was first in terms of canceling their contracts, as they did have a shorter lifespan on that cancellation clause. It was only 28 days versus Genesis Mining's 60 days. And so the Genesis Mining contracts did have lower fees, so it took a little longer for them to hit this milestone, but they have hit that milestone indeed. We've seen a massive increase in the difficulty of Bitcoin mining. And of course, that increase in difficulty has been coupled with a decrease in price since the start of the year, making these contracts, unfortunately, unprofitable. So we're now getting to that point where the 60-day clause will be brought into effect. And that sucks. It really, really does. Because I know a lot of people have invested a lot of money into these cloud mining contracts. I mean, I've certainly got a bit of cloud mining contracts as well, and I'm likely to lose those because I'm not willing to do what they're offering, which is to upgrade your account, essentially, spend a huge amount of money to upgrade to a new 5-year contract with lower fees. I don't think it's a good idea at all. It's, I think at this point, better to simply let the investment flop, basically. Because imagine if you go and invest in that new thing they're offering, which is they're calling their Radiant contract. Well, then you're just setting yourself up for, again, a situation of failure once again in the future. It has reduced fees. Well, it's great, but then you have to pay all this extra money in order to get that reduced fee and just basically bleed out a little bit longer. The Bitcoin mining game has become a game for big, big money. And the game has changed very, very quickly. Last year, if you did get a Bitcoin mining contract around this time, for example, you probably did okay on it. However, if you're now trying to get these Bitcoin mining contracts, you're having to play it with the serious big players here. GMO Internet has just released a new round of very high-powered mining machines. Bitmain continues releasing machines, and on it goes. The game is very serious. Bitfury coming out with the 8 petahash Bitcoin mining container box. The game is serious, and the game is now only for big money players. Unless you have free power, then you might be able to get one of these older generation machines and still have it make money for you. The US Senate will be examining the energy efficiency of blockchain. This is an interesting story because we don't exactly know where the conversation is going to go. If the conversation goes in a positive direction, saying, hey, look, blockchain and the technology can save us all this money via efficiency, well, that's a great direction for the conversation to go in. Crypto-based energy trading platforms, for example, can really help increase efficiency of the electricity grid, as one example. Proof-of-stake networks are obviously more efficient than the proof-of-work networks. So long as this doesn't become a conversation about how Bitcoin is using so much energy and why that's a terrible thing and how we have to come down on it for the environment and all these different things, because that would be a very dishonest conversation to be having. Because yes, Bitcoin does use a lot of energy. And the thing that has to be kept in mind in that energy conversation about Bitcoin is that a lot of that energy that it is using is being used in places where there's already a surplus of supply and not enough demand for that. So they're coming into places where there's, for example, hydroelectric dams, and they can utilize that green renewable energy in order to have basically green Bitcoin mining. Not everywhere, mind you. There are definitely places that are not following that kind of an ethos, but a lot of the Bitcoin mining that we do see is happening in that way. And of course, if they're going to go out and criticize the energy consumption of Bitcoin, it's so hard to have that conversation from the US Senate, because here the US war machine, the military-industrial complex, uses such an unimaginable amount of energy every day. Of course, the global monetary system in terms of printing money, printing coins, having all the data centers, having all the banks sit open every day, that is not questioned. So I hope that the conversation definitely goes in the direction of here's how blockchain can help us save overall, not Bitcoin is bad because. And finally, it is time to give away one Ecomi wallet to a lucky winner. Who is it going to be today? Da-da-da-da. Peaky KLS Lark, I want the wallet, please. Smiley face. The wallet is coming for you. By the way, Sterling, you were the winner last week, and I still have not received your postal address, so make sure you send that along for me. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. Let me know what you think about any of the news stories down below in the comment section. Thumbs up the video and share these videos around the internet to help our community grow. Join the conversation over on Twitter or Telegram. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.